All right, getting ready for a family support worker interview, huh? Well, we're diving deep into these RoleCatcher resources to make sure you absolutely crush it. We've got, let's see, career overviews, some sample interview questions, and even some AI tricks to help you along the way.
It's not just about having all the right
Oh,
answers.
okay.
It's about really understanding the why behind the questions.
Okay.
That's what's going to make a real impact on the interviewer.
Gotcha, yeah. So, first things first, can you just paint a picture for me of what a family support worker actually does?
Think about it this way. You're a steady anchor for families in some pretty tough situations. I mean, anything from addiction, disabilities, even financial struggles, the whole gamut.
I see. So you're there to provide what? Emotional support, practical guidance, and also connect them with resources they might need.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about being there for the parents, right?
Right.
It's about making sure the children have the best possible outcome.
Exactly.
And sometimes that might mean exploring options outside the immediate family.
It could. It's a lot of responsibility.
It is. Wow. So the interviewers are really going to be digging deep to see if you can handle all of that.
For sure.
Let's get into some of those questions then.
Okay, sounds good.
RoleCatcher provided some really insightful ones. What's one you see a lot, and how should someone approach it?
One of the most common questions you're likely to get is, what motivated you to become a family support worker?
Okay.
And they want to see that spark, that genuine passion for helping families.
So no robotic, pre-programmed answers here.
Not at all. Think about a specific experience or a story that really ignited your passion.
Yeah.
Maybe you saw a family struggling firsthand or volunteered in a similar setting. Even being inspired by someone in the field can make for a good story.
Makes sense.
Sharing that personal connection is going to have a much bigger impact than just saying, oh, I like to help people.
Right, right. And it goes back to what you were saying before, understanding the why. It's not just about listing skills, it's showing that deep-rooted motivation.
That's exactly right. And also be prepared for follow-up questions.
Oh.
They might say something like, can you give an example of a time you helped a family overcome a challenge?
Yeah, right.
So having a really impactful story ready to go will show that you can walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
That's a great start. What's another common question that trips people up?
How about, how do you approach building trust and rapport with families?
Oh, yeah.
This one's really all about your communication and interpersonal skills.
And since you're working with families in crisis, chances are they're feeling vulnerable,
Yes.
maybe even a little suspicious of outside help.
Exactly. So you want to highlight the importance of active listening, showing empathy, treating them with respect no matter what.
Right, right.
Showing that you understand the dynamics at play is a good idea too.
And what about those times when things get tricky, which I'm sure happens a lot in this kind of work? Interviewers want to know you can handle the pressure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You might get a question like, how would you handle a situation where a family member is resistant to getting support?
Okay.
This is your chance to show how you handle those tough conversations.
Gotcha, yeah. What are some key things to emphasize when you answer?
Think about things like strategies for de-escalation, maintaining those boundaries, finding some common ground.
Right.
Sharing an example of how you successfully handle a similar situation in the past is a good idea too.
Yeah, I can see how having those real-world examples ready can really make you stand out.
It really can. It shows you can handle the complexities of this line of work. And this brings us to another really important point, tailoring your answers to the specific job you're applying for. That's where RoleCatcher's AI can be really useful.
Oh, okay. So tell me, how does this AI magic work?
Well, RoleCatcher's AI can look at the job description and highlight the skills and keywords that are most important for that role.
Wow.
It's kind of like having a personal coach,
I like it.
helping you figure out what to emphasize.
So it's not just knowing the general skills, but which ones to really focus on for that specific position.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
And RoleCatcher also has this AI-powered practice tool.
Oh, okay.
It analyzes your responses and gives you feedback on how to improve.
Oh, wow. So you can work on your delivery, make your language more impactful, even anticipate follow-up questions.
Right.
That's amazing.
It is.
Okay, back to the actual questions.
Sure.
What's another big one that often comes up?
Interviewers almost always ask something like, how do you handle conflicts or difficult situations with families?
Yeah.
You're going to encounter challenging dynamics in this role,
Yeah.
so they want to know you can think clearly and find solutions when things get tough.
Makes sense. So how should someone approach a question like that to highlight their strengths?
Well, first showcase your problem-solving skills and your ability to stay professional. You can use what's called the STAR method.
Oh, yeah.
That stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's a way to structure your response clearly and concisely, and then share a brief example of a time when you successfully navigated a conflict.
Okay.
Focus on the steps you took to de-escalate things and how you found a solution.
Gotcha. The STAR method, I like it.
It's a good one.
It helps tell a good story, but keeps it structured too.
Exactly. And then, again, be prepared for follow-ups.
Mm-hmm.
They might ask, what strategies do you use to manage stress and stay composed?
Okay.
That shows them you're self-aware and proactive about taking care of yourself,
Right.
which is really important in this field.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, well, what else? What other questions do they usually ask?
Another one you'll probably hear is, how do you ensure that families receive the support and resources they need?
Okay, yeah. That's where you become the master connector, right?
Yeah,
Finding those social services and community resources that fit each family's specific needs.
exactly. Talk about your experience navigating those systems, your knowledge of different resources, and any tools or techniques you use to keep track of everything.
I see. So it's not just about saying, where to find things,
Yeah,
but actually showing how you stay organized and on top of it all.
right. Give some specific examples.
Okay.
Maybe a particular resource that you found really helpful in the past.
And why it worked well, yeah.
And this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be helpful.
Oh, okay.
Their platform actually has a database of local resources.
Wow. So you can really tailor your answers to what's available in the community where you're interviewing.
Right.
That's next level preparation.
It really is. And it shows that you've done your homework and you're ready to get to work.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, another question.
Keep them coming.
Eh,
What else should candidates be ready for?
How do you stay up to date with the best practices and trends in family support work? This one's all about your commitment to continuing education.
So don't just say you're a lifelong learner. Get specific.
Exactly. Talk about conferences you've attended, journals you read, online courses you've taken,
Okay.
even professional organizations that you're a part of, anything like that.
Yeah. And maybe even a recent development in the field that you found interesting.
Sure, that's a good idea.
It shows you're really paying attention to what's new.
Absolutely. And, RoleCatcher's platform provides content on the latest developments in the field as well.
That's really helpful. So you can sound like a true expert in the interview.
Right.
We've covered so much already. Any final thoughts you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, just a couple of key takeaways. Number one, preparation is everything. Familiarize yourself with those common questions, practice your answers, and use RoleCatcher's AI tools to tailor your approach and refine your delivery.
Makes sense.
And number two, go into that interview with confidence.
Yeah, you got this.
I love that.
Mhm.
We'll be back soon for part 2, where we'll dive into even more insightful questions and strategies to help you nail that family support worker interview. Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into acing that family support worker interview.
All right, let's jump right back into those insightful questions from RoleCatcher. I'm especially interested in the ones that really test your ability to think on your feet.
You're talking about those scenario-based questions.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
The ones that really put you in the hot seat.
Right. One that often comes up is something like, imagine you're working with a family struggling with substance abuse.
Okay.
How would you approach supporting both the parents and the children affected by this?
That's a complex situation with so many layers.
It is.
What are interviewers really looking for in a response like that?
They want to see a multifaceted approach, something that addresses the unique needs of everyone involved. You need to show that you can assess individual needs, develop tailored interventions, and collaborate with other professionals to provide that comprehensive support.
So for the parents, you might mention strategies like motivational interviewing, connecting them with treatment programs or support groups specifically for families dealing with substance abuse.
Exactly. And for the children, you could talk about providing age-appropriate information about addiction, maybe offering counseling or play therapy to help them process their emotions, even connecting them with mentorship programs or after-school activities that can provide a safe and supportive environment.
It's really about recognizing that addiction impacts the whole family system, not just the individual struggling with it.
Precisely.
And that each member might need different types of support.
Right. And be prepared for those follow-up questions, too.
Mike, of course.
Like, how would you handle a situation where a parent refuses to seek help?
Oh, wow.
That digs into your ability to navigate difficult conversations, advocate for the children's well-being, and potentially even involve child protective services if needed.
That's a tough one. It highlights those really challenging ethical dilemmas that family support workers face.
Yeah, it does. And it emphasizes how important it is to know your organization's policies and procedures. Speaking of sensitive situations, another common question is about cultural competence.
Oh, right, yeah.
Something like, describe your experience working with families from diverse cultural backgrounds.
Okay.
What are some key considerations when providing culturally competent services?
This is where your ability to connect with families from all walks of life really comes into play. It's not just about being tolerant.
Yeah.
It's about truly understanding and respecting different cultures, beliefs, and values.
That's right. Share some examples of how you've adapted your approach to provide culturally sensitive support.
Yeah, right.
Maybe you've worked with an interpreter or consulted with cultural liaisons. Even seeking out training on specific cultural practices can be really helpful.
It's about meeting families where they are, not imposing your own worldview.
Exactly. And be ready for follow-up questions about what you do if a family's beliefs clashed with recommended services.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you navigate those complexities?
Right. It really shows your ability to handle those situations with sensitivity and respect while still advocating for what's best for the family.
And having a deep understanding of cultural humility can make all the difference.
Absolutely.
You have to recognize that you don't have all the answers and be open to learning from the families you're working with.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about self-care.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The RoleCatcher Guide emphasizes how emotionally draining this work can be.
It can be.
And interviewers want to know how you take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's so important. You can't pour from an empty cup, as they say. They're looking for someone who's self-aware and proactive about preventing burnout.
Exactly. So be prepared to discuss specific things you do to stay grounded. Things like regular exercise, spending time in nature, maybe even creative hobbies you enjoy.
It's all about having healthy coping mechanisms and making your well-being a priority.
Right, and be ready for follow-up questions like, what are your boundaries around work-life balance? How do you make sure you don't bring work home with you?
Okay, that's a good one.
It shows them that you know how to set limits and protect your own mental and emotional health.
Speaking of practical things, let's talk about documentation.
Okay, good point.
Family support workers deal with a lot of sensitive information and need to keep detailed records of their interactions with families.
Absolutely.
So interviewers will want to know you understand the importance of accurate and confidential record keeping.
Right.
Be prepared to highlight your organizational skills, attention to detail, and experience with different documentation systems.
Mm-hmm. And be ready to answer questions like, how do you ensure your documentation is objective? It shows that you can separate your personal opinions from the facts.
You're basically a neutral observer, just documenting what's happening.
Precisely. Now let's move on to professional development. It's a constantly evolving field, so interviewers want to see that you're committed to staying current.
So don't just say, I like to learn new things. Give some concrete examples.
Yeah, talk about conferences, workshops, online courses, or professional organizations you belong to.
And don't be afraid to mention areas where you're looking to learn more, right?
Right.
It shows humility and a willingness to grow.
Exactly. It could be anything from specializing in a particular area, like trauma-informed care, to working with families experiencing homelessness, anything like that.
Sharing your aspirations shows you're truly passionate about this work.
It does. And remember, RoleCatcher has tons of resources to support your professional development, too.
That's great. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different questions so far.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that candidates should be prepared for? Like any really challenging situations that might come up?
You might get asked how you would handle things if a parent becomes angry or aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
That tests your ability to stay calm under pressure, prioritize safety, and maintain your professionalism.
Okay, yeah. So what are some key things to highlight when you answer a question like that?
First, emphasize the importance of remaining calm and composed. Then, outline specific strategies you would use. Things like active listening, acknowledging their feelings, setting boundaries, or even removing yourself from the situation if necessary.
It's really about showing you can assess the situation and respond appropriately, but also still with empathy for the family.
And you might also get asked about your experience working with Child Protective Services. Interviewers want to make sure you understand your legal and ethical obligations when it comes to reporting abuse or neglect.
That's a really important part of the job.
Yeah.
Knowing when to advocate for the family, but also when to put the children's safety first.
Exactly. Now, to wrap up this section, let's look at one that really focuses on advocacy skills.
Yeah.
Something like, describe a time when you advocated for a family to receive the services they needed. What challenges did you face, and how did you overcome them?
I like this one. It's where you can really show your passion for empowering families and navigating complex systems.
That's right. Think of a specific time when you really went above and beyond to help a family access the support they needed.
Yeah.
Maybe you had to deal with bureaucracy, or find a really hard-to-get resource, or even advocate for their rights.
Right.
Describe the challenges, your strategies, and the outcome.
So it shows you're not just a bystander. You're proactively fighting for those families.
Right. And be ready for follow-up questions about systemic barriers. Things like, what prevents families from accessing support? How can family support workers address those barriers?
It shows you're thinking about the bigger picture
Yeah.
and working towards real change.
Exactly. And that brings us to another point, understanding the organization you're interviewing with.
Ah, yes. Doing your research beforehand can really pay off.
It shows you're genuinely interested. So take some time to explore their website, read their reports, even check out their social media. It'll give you some good insights into their culture and their work.
Yeah. And be prepared to ask some thoughtful questions during the interview. It shows you've done your homework.
Right. For example, you could ask about their approach to diversity, their professional development programs, or how they measure the success of their programs.
Asking those kinds of questions not only shows your interest, but also helps you decide if it's the right fit for you.
It's a two-way street. You're evaluating them just as much as they're evaluating you. Okay, so let's shift gears again and talk about some final tips for making a good impression.
Okay, yeah. Those subtle things that can really make a difference.
Definitely. Remember the basics, dress professionally, be on time, be polite to everyone. Those things might seem small, but they matter.
And a firm handshake and a genuine smile can go a long way too.
Absolutely. And throughout the interview, make good eye contact, sit up straight, and use positive body language.
Yeah, it projects confidence.
Right. And remember to actually listen to what the interviewer is asking. Ask clarifying questions if you need to, and take a moment to gather your thoughts before answering.
It's okay to pause and think. It shows you're taking the time to give a thoughtful response.
Exactly. And when you do answer, be clear, concise, and enthusiastic. Let your passion show.
And don't be afraid to let your personality shine through. It's important to be professional, but you also want to be yourself.
That's right. The interviewer wants to get to know you as a person.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Any last-minute advice?
The interview is a two-way street, so ask questions that will help you decide if it's the right fit for you. Things like work-life balance, growth opportunities, company culture, things like that.
It's about finding a role that matches your goals.
Right. And finally, no matter what happens, treat it as a learning experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Every interview helps you improve your skills and prepare for the next one.
Even if you don't get the job this time, you've still gained valuable experience.
Absolutely. The right opportunity will come along. Just trust the process.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part, I want to touch on those AI-powered tools we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Remind our listeners how RoleCatcher can help them prepare.
RoleCatcher can do things like analyze job descriptions, identify those key skills and keywords, and even give you personalized feedback.
So it's almost like having a virtual career coach in your pocket.
Exactly. Their AI can analyze your responses and give you suggestions. It's a great resource for anyone who wants to refine their interview skills and feel more confident.
Sounds like it can really help you stand out from other candidates.
It can. And, a lot of those features are free, so you can try them out and see for yourself.
That's fantastic. Well, I think we've covered a ton of ground in this part of our deep dive. We've explored those challenging questions, talked about how to showcase your strengths, and highlighted those awesome resources available through RoleCatcher.
We have.
And I think the biggest takeaway is that preparation is key.
Definitely.
By familiarizing yourself with common questions, practicing your answers, and utilizing the tools that are available to you, you can go into that interview feeling confident and ready to impress.
Right.
Welcome back. We spent the last two parts really digging into the family support worker role, how to answer those tough interview questions, all that good stuff.
We have, but now it's time to talk about some of those finer details.
Okay, yeah.
The things that can really make a difference.
The stuff that goes beyond just having the right answers.
Exactly.
I love that. Those little things that can really make or break an interview.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing people should keep in mind as they walk into the room?
Well, first impressions are huge, and we've spent a lot of time talking about preparing your answers.
Right.
But don't underestimate the importance of nonverbal communication. Your body language, eye contact, all of that. It says a lot before you even say a word.
Yeah, like they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
That's right.
So how do you make sure your nonverbal game is strong?
It starts with the basics. Dressing professionally, a firm handshake, making eye contact. All of those little things show confidence and respect.
And a smile can go a long way too.
Absolutely. It shows you're approachable and that you're excited to be there.
Right, right. And once you're sitting down, what then?
Maintain good posture, sit up straight, and lean in a bit to show that you're engaged. Try not to fidget or look distracted.
Yeah, no phones, right?
Yeah.
You want to look like you're really interested in what they're saying.
Exactly. And speaking of which, active listening is so important. Nodding, making eye contact, asking clarifying questions.
It shows that you're really paying attention.
That's right. You're not just waiting for your turn to speak. Okay, now let's talk about showcasing your strength.
Okay.
It's one thing to list your skills on a resume.
Yeah.
But you have to bring them to life in the interview.
This is where storytelling comes in, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, oh, I'm a good communicator, you need to prove it.
Exactly. Think back to specific situations where you really demonstrated those skills.
Okay.
Maybe you had to explain a complicated concept to a family in a way that they could understand.
Right.
Or you successfully helped resolve a conflict between family members.
Those real-life examples are so much more powerful.
They are. They paint a picture. And remember, it's okay to admit where you're still learning and growing too. It shows you're self-aware.
Okay. Wow.
For example, you could say, I'm really passionate about trauma-informed care, and I'm currently taking a course to learn more about it.
That shows initiative. It shows you're dedicated to learning and improving.
Exactly. And speaking of dedication, it's important to show your passion for this work. Interviewers want to know that you're not just there for a paycheck.
Yeah, that you really care about making a difference.
Right. So be authentic, let your personality show, share what you believe in.
It's all about finding that balance between being professional and being yourself.
Exactly. Let them see who you really are, that you're compassionate, dedicated, and that you're driven to help.
I love that. And enthusiasm is contagious.
It is. When you believe in what you do, it really shows.
All right, so we've talked about nonverbals, showcasing your strengths.
Right.
What else? What about asking questions?
Oh, that's a really important part of any interview. It's your chance to learn more and to see if the organization is a good fit for you.
Right, it's a two-way street.
Exactly. Prepare some questions beforehand that show you've done your research. You could ask about their approach to diversity or their commitment to professional development. Even how they measure the impact of their programs is a good question.
Those are all really good points. Asking insightful questions shows you're engaged and that you're genuinely interested.
It does. And don't be afraid to ask about things that are important to you, like work-life balance or growth opportunities.
It's about finding the right fit.
Right. Now, let's talk about something that can be a big challenge for people, nerves.
Oh, yeah, interview jitters. It's totally normal to feel nervous. It means you care. But how do you stay calm under pressure?
Preparation is key. The more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel. Practice your answers, research the organization, and try visualizing yourself succeeding.
I love that. Visualization is so powerful.
It really is. It helps you rewire your brain to associate the interview with positive feelings. And don't forget to take care of yourself leading up to the interview. Get enough sleep, eat well, and do things that help you relax.
Self-care is essential, especially when you're feeling stressed.
Absolutely. And finally, no matter what happens, remember that it's a learning experience. Every interview, whether you get the job or not, helps you grow and get better.
Even if it doesn't work out this time, you've gained valuable experience that you can use in the future.
Exactly. The right opportunity will come along. Just trust the process.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about the challenges, the rewards, and the skills you need to be successful as a family support worker.
And we've given you some tips and strategies to help you ace that interview.
Exactly. We hope this has been helpful for you as you start your journey in this rewarding field.
Your passion and dedication are truly invaluable.
So go into that interview with confidence. Let your personality shine through. And remember, you have a lot to offer.
We wish you the best of luck.
Good luck.
And thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.